Hello friends, and welcome to part 6 of the Dynamic Window Blueprint tutorial series. In this part we're going to finish setting up the basic functionality for our title bar and our window. Let's start by knocking out the easy stuff first. If we switch over to the HUD and take a look at our dynamic window, we want to be able to specify the size and the position whenever the window is created, especially if you want to create and display one of these windows at runtime. You need to be able to tell it how big to be and where you want it. To do this, let's switch over to our dynamic window, and we're going to go to our graph, and we're going to create two new variables. The first one we'll call initialize window position 2. I really can type faster than this. I just got a microphone between me and the keyboard, and it's a little different. We want this to be a vector 2D. Oops. A vector 2D, and click the right one. And then we'll create another variable. This also will be a vector 2D. Initialize window size 2. And we're going to set both of these to instance editable and expose on spawn. And let's go ahead and compile and save. Then we will scroll down and give these some default values other than 0. For the position, I'm going to use 100, 100, 100. And for the size, I'm just going to go with 400 by 400. Let's go ahead and drop both variables over here by our pre-constructor. And let's also grab our vertical box dynamic window. This is the actual window that we move around. Now, we're going to grab our slot as canvas slot. And if you're not sure what that is, if we go back to our designer tab and select our vertical box dynamic window, we have the slot over here. It's a canvas panel slot, and that is actually granted to our vertical box by the canvas panel that it sits in. So without that canvas panel, we would have no position coordinates, we'd have no size coordinates, we'd have no way to move our vertical box dynamic window. So when we call slot as canvas slot, we're actually getting this entire slot, and then we can call functions like set position, get position, etc. So let's go back to our graph, and we're actually going to call set position. And we'll hook it up and pass in our position. And we're also going to call set size using the same slot. We don't have to get it again. Connect it up, pass in our size, and we'll go ahead and compile and save. And if we go back to our HUD, we should see the window up around 100, 100 for the position. And the window size is roughly 400 by 400. But let's go ahead and test it out. We'll click on our dynamic window, and now we have our initial window position and our initial window size. We'll set this one to 200 by 200, and the window moved. We'll change this to 600 by 700. and it's resizing okay. Alright, next we want the ability to set our window text, our title. Let's go back to our dynamic window, and we'll add a new variable. We'll call it window title. And this is going to be a text. Now, we never actually created a function in our title bar to set the text. One way we could do it is if we drag the title bar over here, go ahead and get it, and then dragging off of here, we could call get, I think we called it text window title. So that'll actually get the text inside of our title bar. And then we could call set text and hook all that up. But this is not the cleanest way to do it. It would be better if we actually added a function to our dynamic window title bar that handled this part of it for us. And then if we ever made changes in our title bar, like adding more functionality to it, we wouldn't have to go back and clutter up even more code. So we're going to actually delete this, and we're going to head over to our dynamic window title bar, and we'll go to the graph, and we're going to create a function called set window title, and we're going to add a text input parameter to it called window title. And then we'll grab our text window title and go ahead and set the text here. This is just a clean way of doing things. And if we compile, save, and head back to dynamic window, now we can grab our title bar and our window title, which we still need to set that to instance editable and expose on spawn. And then we'll call our new function, set window title, make sure we do the function, pass in our window title and connect it up. And then we can compile, save, switch back to our HUD. And if we click on our dynamic window, we now have a spot to put a window title. So let's go ahead and change ours to dynamic window title. We'll just do dynamic window number 1. And press enter, and you can see dynamic window number 1 is now showing up in our title. Great. Alright, the last thing we want to do is give our close button some functionality. That way we can use it for something like exiting the game, or if you just want the window to close. For this, we're going to use event dispatchers from the dynamic window title bar that will notify our dynamic window whenever the button is clicked. Let's go ahead and switch over to our title bar. And we're going to click over here where it says button close window. That's our button. And if we look here at the bottom, there is an event called onClick. We'll go ahead and click that. And whenever the button is clicked, this event is called, so execution will go from this pin to whatever we hook up to it. Now, since we're in the dynamic window title, we actually don't want to do anything here. We actually just want to tell the dynamic window, the parent, that the button was clicked. to do that, we're going to create an event dispatcher. We'll call it on close window clicked. And we'll go ahead and compile and save. And then we'll go ahead and grab our new event dispatcher, drag it onto the graph, and select call. And hook it up. So now whenever the button is clicked, this event is called, which in turn calls the event dispatcher, which the parent window can listen for. So we're going to switch back to dynamic window. And if we select the title bar over here on the left and look down here below, we have on close window clicked, which is the event dispatcher that we just set up. So let's go ahead and click that to add it. And to make sure it's working, let's just add a print string. We'll say close button clicked. And now if we compile, save, and run it, we should see our print string every time we click the button. And there it is. Great. Alright, so now it really just boils down to what you want the button to do. For example, we could delete our print string and have it quit the game. Compile, save, press play, and if we click the X, it quits the game. Something else we can do is if we delete quit game, we'll go remove from parent, which will just simply remove the window from the HUD. So it's like deleting it. So we'll compile, save, play, and if you close it, now the window closes, but the game is still running. So you could pretty much close the window and then use create widget to recreate it if something else happens, like somebody clicks a button or who knows what. And you could do other things too, like instead of removing it from the parent, you could actually just set the visibility to collapsed, and that would be hidden, basically. It would not take up any space on the screen, so you couldn't see it. Alright, I think that about does it for part 6 of this series. In part 7, we will lay the foundation for moving and resizing the window. And we will also be using a couple more event dispatchers in order to do this. See you then.